Welcome back, Relaxed Reps listeners. We were brainstorming, and as we tend to do, got into some good laughs about some programming work that Coach Luke has been working on. Do you wanna give preface to this? Do you wanna give the backstory?
This is in regards to I've been posting more often, and I post something about Otterbuns football team, and one of the the exercises that was in one of the videos I posted, and it was a medicine ball squeeze. One guy was on his back and he's squeezing the medicine ball in between his legs, and the other guy is actively trying to hit the ball out between his legs. And coach had some insight on on that exercise.
If I'm putting my coaching hat on, and yes, you may see some tears. I was laughing. If I'm putting my coaching hat on, and I think like a lawyer, I think there's a lot of room for that exercise to go sideways, right? If the ball slips, obviously it's landing in a pretty not favorable position. So I see a lot of risk. And again, I try to put, if I'm looking at it through a coach's lens, right? I'm like, what's the goal here? I mean, because you could do just an adductor med ball squeeze and get a similar work, right? If you're thinking, I don't know. There's this big, I sent you clips of it with the band that was twisted, and as it unravels, it kind of puts tension on the shoulder. You know what clip I'm talking about?
Yep.
So maybe there's something kind of reflexive that you're doing when hitting the med ball. I'd try to give, again, that's you that programmed this, right?
Yes, you're giving me the benefit of the doubt.
I'm trying to give you, yes. But the reason I was chuckling is because I'm just going through my feed and I think the first exercise was some maybe Olympic lift or jump, something I had seen before. And the next clip is just kids just wailing on this med ball right between their knees. And it's probably, if you're not expecting it, to see that in a weight room is so funny. So funny.
Hilarious.
I mean, just, hey, man.
The video is awesome. The one kid is literally like hitting it as hard as he can.
Well, at one point in the clip, he wails down and then goes thumbs up to the camera.
Made it for the content, baby. I know, I'm kidding. But that's evolved because it used to be like medicine ball squeeze.
Frightening. If that's the evolved form, where do we start?
I know. Because it used to just be a normal medicine ball squeeze, like you're saying. And then eventually, like, some kids would, like, hit the ball, make sure, like, they're squeezing hard enough, just like a, slap. And then it turned into harder slaps. And then it was, really slapping it hard. And now it's turned into just punches.
Ground to pound. Finish him.
Sometimes I'm like, yeah, it's not too bad. Other times it's like, okay, this is way too much. And I have coached that one now. Since we have had some issues, you can't punch straight down on the ball because if you punch straight down on it, then we're gonna have some consequences there. So you got to punch. I always have them punch down this way.
Well, you did that off camera. I couldn't see. So I think what you're saying is you want to go either left towards their feet or right towards their feet rather, or left up kind of by up their head, not straight down the middle. Right?
No. Yeah. If you punch it straight down, it's going to the no. And that's
bad time for everyone. Ooh. So that's where we started. That's a fun icebreaker. Again, head to Coach Luke's Instagram. It'll be easy to find because he always tags himself and never tags me. So I'm a bit of a ghost.
Here we go.
So Coach Luke likes to post stories of this very thing that we do together. I'm only 50%. It's fine. Tags himself, tags the podcast, never tags his co-host. But it's fine.
You're in the post tag.
No one knows who I am. It's like, who's that guy with the terrible beard and the other side with the blue background?
Well,
I was hanging out with some of our mutual friends this weekend, and one of our friends, shout out, hopefully he listens. The odds are not good that he does, but he was like, Cam was like, oh, that's a nice, nice beard. What you got coming in there? I see you on the sides of your beard. And I was like, you're generous to call this a beard. The sides, man, you and I did an episode a long time ago. Sorry for people that are listening and looking for coaching insights. We'll get there. But
we'll get there.
There was a while back, I want to say it was around the holidays. We were talking about gifts we had gotten. I got beard oils.
Yeah.
I think the whole point of this is to say it was comical when our friend referenced this as a beard. I never think of this as like a fully grown beard. It's still my attempt, but Med balls
I've been
to the
told,
crotch.
yeah, beards are one of those that grow. They get better over time. Because
Yeah.
I mean, look at I'm even worse than you. I can't. This is as much as I've grown it out and like ever, and that's as
Yeah.
much as I can get on either side. So
Yeah. Same. Like I feel like a billy goat kid. Whenever we're playing, we'll just grab it. And it used to be, like so the hairs were so small there that like he couldn't really grab a hold of it. And now he gets like a fistful and turns it, and I'm like, oh gosh, oh gosh. So, and every day he tells me I should shave it. So you should shave that, Dad. You should shave that. I'm like, thanks, appreciate it, Anywho, today, well, I don't know if there's more med ball crotch punch wisdom you wanted to imbue upon
I
us.
think I should change the name of that exercise to Med Ball Crotch Punch. I think that's a better name.
What is it currently named?
I think it's like Med Ball Squeeze, Med Ball Squeeze, Adductor Squeeze, something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, med ball crotch punch. Could you imagine seeing that in a program, giving it to an adult client? And they're like, what in the world? Imagine if we gave that to Big John. He'd say, what is the matter with you two?
Big John would love that. Big John would eat that up. But I mean, if I have any of my old athletes listening to this from Ohio Northern or even Donskop, I feel like we did this some at Donskop, maybe after you left. Like it has evolved. Like it's usually like one hand smack. At Ohio Northern, it turned into like two hands, like slamming down. Now it's turned into some punching. I think that's the extent of it. No kicks for sure. That's probably where I draw the line.
I
Is
just
a kick.
imagine just a drop kick. Some kid just jumps in like a pogo stick, strikes down.
Bam.
Yeah. All right, so we'll bring it back to a coaching moment because that seems only fair and appropriate. But I like adductor work. I don't make it a huge part of my program. In fact, we're going to talk about mobility at some point down the line. So when we talk about, and we're getting into programming, but like talking about pairing certain exercises, I do like adductor work. I pretty much for the most part stick to like a lateral lunge or like a Copenhagen side plank. Those are my go-to for those. There's something so humbling about a Copenhagen side plank. For those that don't know, you put your top leg on, you do a side plank, you put your top leg up on a bench, the bottom leg floats. You're obviously working your core. It's a plank, but you're also working the adductor on that top side leg. It's so humbling. Those are pretty much the only two that I would do. And yeah, an adductor squeeze. Yeah. What other adductor work do you have or do you like?
I like those. I think I do those more than anything. Because you can always progress those too. Like you can make it a longer lever Copenhagen with your legs straight. So you can go knee bent, you can go leg straight, you can add weight to that. Sometimes just doing like a step in, like a banded step in, where you just, literally have the band on one foot and then just bring your feet together. So there's resistance there. But that's like real accessory work. Like if I have an adult client or even some of my sport clients, like if it's not, eh, if I only have 60 minutes to work with somebody, I don't know if that's going to be the priority. You know what I mean? Like main movements for sure. Right. And then if we have time to get accessory working, like that's day 4 of our block where I have some time and some availability for me to put in some exercises like a, what do we call that? A crotch punch or,
Oh, you're not crotch punching daily.
Well, I guess we could. Have you seen those videos of, people do that. That's
careful.
like a whole,
I'm not sure what videos we're going to get into here. You tell me. No, you tell me.
We'll leave that for off here.
What are you getting into, Coach? Fill me in.
No, I just feel like sometimes, and I can butcher this. So, I see sometimes videos of people training like, for like some type of martial art or something. And like literally they're just like punching or kicking the other guy like in that area. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're training that.
Well, that's very different. Not to get too down a rabbit hole, my martial arts is more grappling based as opposed to striking based. But I mean, what you're talking about is like conditioning. And you want to condition your shins. I mean, when you kick someone, you want it to hurt you as little as possible. You want it to hurt them. So, I mean, you want to condition shins, knuckles, elbows. I mean, yeah, you do want to do that. But yeah, that's again, that's a whole kind of rabbit hole to get down. We were planning on talking the perfect program. Does it exist?
There you go.
Because everyone out there in the fitness space will tell you that it does, and they're selling it.
They're
But is
selling
it
there.
well, they're selling what they think is the perfect program, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, I guess how would you define a perfect program? Have you found it? Are you close? Are you not? And why?
I think I was a lot closer, before I interned at Donskoff with you.
Tires and hammers?
Tires and hammers. If that's a throwback to when I first met Dave and I was an intern under him, and I one of my first questions was, "So where are all the tires at? Where are all the sledgehammers at?
Oh,
Why
no,
don't
no,
we
no.
do any tire work?"
It gets even better. The question, well, it was this is your time. You bring questions, make them educated questions with, context and coming from a standpoint. And, why are we do some critical thinking around them? And Luke goes, where's the tires? Why is there not tires here? And to his point, it was like an industrial complex. So there were many semis out back. It's fair to think that there might be a tire laying around, but there wasn't. There was no tire. There was no sledgehammers. And Luke was disappointed. It's a fair question, but it did lack some context around it.
So knowledge is power, right? I guess that's kind of the full circle there. I've definitely learned a lot more and understand more. And I feel like a lot of people in our profession say this a lot is that the more that you know is then the more unsure you are of those kind of things like a perfect program or I think it's one of those things just having more of a realization, having more of a full picture knowledge of your strength conditioning background, how to program and those kind of things. And I would say my programming has changed drastically in the last 8 years,
Mhm.
from college, and from that first internship to now. So,
Yeah, I so I started in a large commercial gym. I won't name it, but So I started in a large commercial gym and they give you these books to write workouts in for your clients. And obviously I had one that I kept for myself. I wrote my workouts in. Again, it's my first job out of college. So what they teach you in college is they teach you how to make kind of the perfect program, but you have none of the context. You have none of the experience. You have no clients that are saying, well, I can't do this. I don't want to do that. I don't like to sweat.
mm,
You don't have any of the real world context. You just
yeah,
have what the textbooks tell you. Here's, the sets and reps, the rest, da 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 da. And so I look back at those workouts, like when I'm getting ready to do my workout now, I'll go back and look at those workouts. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is absurd what I would have myself doing for my own workouts. And I choose to believe at that time I was making better ones for my clients. I do believe that I was, but the ones that I put together for myself, I'm like, this is awful. This is so bad. This is
yeah,
nonsensical. But it is made through a different lens. I didn't know then what I know now, and that's part of the
mm,
coaching journey. Um, so yeah, yeah, I'm still a long ways off from the perfect program,
yeah,
but I think, and I'm gonna sound like a broken record when I say it, it comes down to systems because the reality is most people don't need a super personalized program. They need it to be coached in a personal way, but most people are gonna squat, hinge, lunge, push, pull, carry.
yeah,
So we got to figure out which variations we can and can't do, which variations are and aren't beneficial, and whatever systems you have in place, whether the client wants to lose weight or get stronger, or whatever it is, we got to learn how to adapt that program to help them get where they want to go. So yeah, I don't know that there's a perfect program in my mind, but yeah, I don't know what else you got.
yeah. That's yeah. There, I think there's a philosophical part of this
Uh-huh.
that is part of all like strength conditioning or people that write programs or make workouts for themselves or anybody really. It's I used to really think there is a pursuit and you should have a pursuit to a perfect program, but I think it's more of the pursuit of a perfect program for that individual.
Uh-huh.
Um, and there's no like one like there's not one program like the Mecca, like, hey, this is it. Like, oh my gosh, you should only be doing this for the rest of your life. I don't think that's a thing. And I definitely thought there was at one point, and I definitely remember being attracted to like watching influencers and different things and seeing what they do and just believing that that's like gold. and believing that that's the only way to do things, and getting lost in that very early in my career. I definitely remember that. Or following different strength coaches, for example, or people in the fitness industry that have big followings, and just see what they're doing, and just preach that like that's the Bible, when there's a lot of different resources and different things that you can be studying to understand where people are coming from. And yeah, that's a big part of this, like, philosophy shift, in my opinion, for myself. That's really changed the way that I program and think about programming or perfect programs. So
Yeah, I agree that as you kind of pick up these different things, it's going to alter what your programming looks like. I mean, I think back to, when we worked with youth athletes, they would move through a progression, a series of progressions. And for
yeah,
a young athlete, that's pretty okay. For an adult client, that's usually pretty okay. Um, when you get into more experienced athletes, you kind of have obviously more experienced methods. But again, because I work mostly with adult clients, a lot of those progressions, to keep it just plain and simple, right? A phase one, phase two, phase three, phase four. And then we
yeah,
circle back to that phase one work and hopefully are using heavier weights than we did that first time to cycle back to those progressions. I think that ringing of the cloth works for many phases over for both youth athletes and adult clients. Um, you and I have talked before about like percentage based lifting. And
yeah,
again, this is, I think, where athletics and personal training differ. Because when you do get into those more experienced lifters, then you got it. I mean, you can obviously still use cycles, but those cycles are shaped quite differently. Um, so in terms of the
yeah,
perfect program, I think taking those 4 blocks of work, again, as an example, and continuing to refine those and evolve those, you have pretty good systems. Like the
yeah,
principles of a weight loss program are the principles of weight loss program. So I mean, it's if you have a good template or style or something that you like to do, you can really plug and play with your coaching and programming. I think you know.
yeah. And I think it definitely matters more, in my opinion, how you coach a program than the actual program itself.
Mhm.
Um, and I just believe that that is 100 times more important. How engaged you are, how interactive you are in every coaching detail that you give is the same. Or, it's really truly how you coach a program. It could be the simplest program ever that, somebody could make on the back of a napkin, right? But I think it's one of those things that if you're not very engaged in really trying to create a difference, and bring that buy-in from the client or from the team or whoever you're working with, then you're never going to get the results you want. So yeah, I think I've been preaching that one for a long time. I think and that's where some of my programming kind of leans into more, is more of a simple approach for um a lot of the clients that I work with.
Yeah, yeah. Buy-in, I think, is the part of any perfect program.
Yeah.
A big rock, a big pillar within it. Yeah. What else? What else goes into the perfect program? So we have the client's goals, right? What they want to
Yep.
accomplish. That has to be kind of present and front facing. Um, I think obviously equipment, right? If someone has an at-home
Yeah, I
workout,
was
they
gonna
give them a
say
trap bar and they
logistics.
don't have a trap bar, that's not going to work, right? So there's some logistics
Yeah.
to it.
Yep.
Um, what else? I'd say
Yeah,
there's
I
some.
think
Go for it.
well, I think like, just the reality of if they're actually going to do the work that you give them, and their, like, drive and their work ethic to, like, get some of these things done, I think is an important one, especially with anyone that you work with, because people are going to have bigger goals than usually what they're actually, like, willing to do. And we've had tons of conversations about this. I think this is also another reason, if we're talking about teams, like me working with the football team I'm currently working with, a lot of the guys won't push themselves if you don't put percentages or write down the weights that they're expected to use in their next week. And
Uh-huh.
I've had a challenge with that, because in the private sector, I think there's a different understanding because those people are paying you to work with them, and
Mhm.
they have a different drive than those people that are being forced to work with me through a college sector or a team perspective. And I can't. It's very hard to watch 40 or 50 guys at the same time. So for me, some of those things, from that standpoint, from an accountability and trying to push them to make um, bigger increases and those kind of things, is to write down some of the weights that they should be using in their next week and the week after, and then in the next block. So then we can have a better idea of the progressions that they should be taking. Because the one thing that does frustrate me more than anything is seeing the same weight for 4 or 5 weeks and they haven't changed the weight. And we've been doing the same exercises for 4 or 5 weeks. So that means that you didn't change the stimulus at all, you know?
Fair, fair. I mean, I miss
A little
that.
tangent, but
I miss that
yeah.
about in-person work. Um, back where we used to work, they would say if you're not keeping track of all 50 of your guys, you got to position yourself better on the floor. You got to be captain of the ship, man. You got to
That is
run it.
true. And that's another part of this too, is I think that very early in my career, I think it was very hard for me to be like, "Oh, well, it's the program, it's the program." It's not on me as the coach, you know? And you should always be able to look back at yourself and be like, "Did I do a better job of this? Could I have coached this better? How do I get 50 people more bought in? How do I, that kind of thing? How do I situate myself that I can coach everyone at the same time and they can hear what I need to say and those kind of things?" That's a
So
good
how do you
point.
evaluate that?
I'm still working on that. This is why we have this podcast, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
I think I've worked with some different football teams now for the last like 4 or 5 years. And it's always like when I get done with a semester or we have some break time, it's really a good time for me to reevaluate myself and reevaluate where we are as a program. And do I think I could have done things better? Yeah, I sure hope so. Because if I can't do anything better, I should probably just quit.
No, then you're the
That's
best in the
that's another
game.
thing too.
Then you're the best in the
A
game.
perfect program. Duh.
There
I
you
mean,
go.
whatever.
Yeah. It's tough to, yeah, get everyone bought in. Um, yeah, it's been a while since I was doing in-person work with a team, but I mean, you got to stay in control of that ship. You got to get
Yeah.
those that are bought in, keep them bought in, and try to convert those without kind of bending over too far backwards to people please. And
Yeah.
that's a tough line to toe. Yeah.
Yeah. Even online training though, I think it has it's things like that where there's still a lot of questions to be asked of you, and there's still a lot of pieces of the accountability piece that they really want sometimes from an online training perspective where just kind of asking
Sure.
you to like hold your hand sometimes, or the opposite, like, why are we doing this? What's the reason behind doing this and this and this? And sometimes there is more of a personal piece of that sometimes I don't necessarily get with 50 guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, it is a lot of accountability with online clients. And I every time, not every time, I always make a point to say, when you go in person to a gym, you see a coach right in the face, and they can say, "Hey, where you been?" I I think more people feel accountable to an in-person coach because they know there's someone standing at the gym waiting on them, right? If I don't
Yeah.
show up, they're there waiting. I've literally wasted an hour of their time or half hour,
Mm,
whatever.
yeah.
Whereas with an online space, it's very easy to ignore me, your coach. You simply don't open up the laptop. You don't flip over the phone. You don't turn on your notifications. You don't hear from me, right?
Yeah.
Um, it's very easy to ignore your coach. And that's the coaching isn't always will be a two-way street. Um, which is where the personal side of it kind of fits in. Like
Yeah.
you got to meet kind of both ways. If you want to get something out of it from your training, you got to give your coach feedback and ask those questions and be willing to put in the work. And yeah, those that want it will succeed, and those that don't won't. It's
Yeah.
always that simple.
So the
Yeah.
perfect program is always being constantly updated and revised. Is that maybe something I mean, maybe I'm
Well,
speaking for you, but
no, well, yes, it is always updated and revised. However, I'll say when I think of the perfect program, I think of what lands on the page. That is the program.
mm,
The coaching is outside of that. And um not putting, words in anyone's mouth, but I appreciate Brett Bartholomew's content, Art of Coaching. He talks about we periodize our programs. Why is it that we don't periodize our communication? Right? Like, are you talking to a 12-year-old athlete, or are you talking to a parent of an athlete who used to do football and thinks that they know about the weight room because their coach taught them how to bench press? The way you talk to each is very different, right? Like, we
yeah,
had people that were elite grapplers come into the gym that we used to work at. How we talk to them is very different than how we might talk to um, a young gymnast athlete. Those are different
yeah,
conversations. We need to periodize, and even within a season, right? Are they starting their season? Are they ending their season? Is the team run down? Is morale low? Because maybe I don't need to be hard on them at that point, or maybe I do. You know your athlete's best, but we need to periodize what we're saying, how we're saying it, and how we're trying to light that fire in our athletes and our people. And that's the coaching. The program is what the program is, which is why I say yes, it's always updating and revising and adapting. But and I think this is what you were agreeing with, it, the communication side of it plays a bigger role in its impact of whether they do the program, the perfect program that we've written or not. And the perfect
yeah,
program now may not be the perfect program, next year. Hopefully those systems get revised. Um, But yeah, the communication piece is huge, and I'm guilty of it, not periodizing it. I mean, this is kind of why I gave you a hard time, is how do you take account of that? If you don't evaluate yourself on how each session went,
yeah,
then are you going to remember at the end of the season what went wrong in that first week of training? Unlikely. Unlikely.
yeah,
So when we used to work at the place that we did, when I was real young, go getter, made myself like a little evaluation sheet, right? Like, what did I think went well in the session? What didn't go well in the session? What do I need to coach more? What cues did I miss? Who did I, not have a touch point with and need to circle back with? And if you do that at the end of each session, you can really find where the gaps are and fill them much more
yeah,
quickly than it's like New Year's resolutions, right? I'm going to get more fit. It falls off at the end of January. Now December rolls around and you're like, all right, so where did I go wrong back in February? And it's like, I have so much time between now and then. Let's evaluate, have more of those check-ins.
uh,
Um, yeah.
I really like that. I just wrote a ton of that down. I I feel like that's definitely something that, I haven't heard much conversation over, and that definitely is is kinda part of this whole system that you're creating for, the person you're working with, you
Uh-huh.
know? And, the eval sheet is something that I'm probably definitely gonna be, looking into more to, probably talk to you more about, and then,
Yeah.
you know, because you are right that it used to be something that was always at the front of my mind when I was doing internships a lot and when I was being evaluated a lot. And now
Mhm.
that I'm not getting evaluated, it is easy to be in a place where there's a lot more comfortability, right? In a
Mm.
place where you're not growing as much and learning as much. So that is, yeah, that's interesting. I really like that.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing as coaching, right? You're not gonna the reason coaching works is because someone's watching, someone's holding you accountable under the
Yeah.
bar in real time. So when we're doing our own workouts, we don't we're not as strict. We get away with more because we're doing it by ourselves. But when you have that account, like, if to bring it back full circle, when you have internships, well, yeah, you're aware of the eval and the criteria because you want to do a good job for school. You want to do a good job under the supervision of your, person in charge. So you
Yeah.
you mind your P's and Q's a lot more. And then you run the weight room. And it's like, well, I don't got to evaluate myself. I run this thing. And
Yeah.
that's where the gaps happen. And that's where problems occur. And people say, and I'm every bit guilty of it. I didn't mess up. It's my weight room. The athletes didn't do it right. And it's like, coach, they didn't do it right because you didn't cue it. Like,
Yeah.
it's so easy to
Yeah.
to kind of shirk that and be like, I don't need to evaluate myself. I know what I'm doing. I'm a head coach. It's like, yeah, but
Yeah.
that's not where growth happens. That's like the opposite of what we tell athletes. Like,
Exactly.
yeah, and that the fun part about the eval sheet is it's like you can put whatever you want on there. Like, you know yourself and what motivates you and what drives you best. Like, if our boss has made us an eval sheet, and sometimes they did, it doesn't stick. It's not like it's like I'm checking a box at that point because someone else has given me that. But when you say, where are the holes
Yes.
in my game? Like for me, it was you and another intern, and I appreciate the fact that you and that intern had very different strengths. I
Yeah.
think myself and that other intern shared some of those strengths, whereas you and I, and again, this is why it works, we had different strengths. You're really good at the
Yeah.
social side of things. I am not. So for me, a lot of my eval stuff is like, well, did you ask how this person's kids are doing? Did you ask this person, if their partner is feeling better, or if their kid, got into
Mhm.
the college they were trying for? And I know it sounds
Yeah.
robotic, like who takes notes on that? And it's like, well, I mean, I'm not like making a profile of someone, but I am
No.
I am trying to understand people that I work with. And when you for those that don't know, coaches have many clients and many athletes that they look after. So there's nothing wrong with keeping a quick note on did I circle back with this person? Yeah, it's important
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah, and you just try to do that as organically as you can, and that kinda comes with, sometimes it does come easier for me than maybe for you, but I think there's again other strengths that like I mean like this we're talking about right now, like being able to have more evaluation on yourself and those kind of things. It's why it's why you're supposed to be able to communicate with other people in the field as well as clients and work with different populations and be able to kind of combine a lot of things and be able to make a full program that hopefully is the perfect program for that person. Big
As
circle
close
back
to
there.
perfect
But
as we can get, and we'll
yeah.
revise and continue to improve. You want to take us out, coach? Unless you have anything else.
No, that was awesome. Yeah, I thought that was really good. I thought that was a good way for us to kind of talk about our different philosophies on programming and what a perfect program is without even talking about specifics, right? I think that's a good point is like you don't have to be following somebody. You don't have to be following a certain program or be you know, just absorbed by one type of way to do something to see results and to make a perfect program. So
Yeah, I mean, so for those listening there, we do have our programming series where we talk about some of the X's and O's and the details and stuff like that. But it's pretty straightforward. If you want to get strong, lift heavy stuff
yeah,
safely. If you want to get big,
yep,
lift moderately heavy stuff a lot. If you want to get fast, sprint and jump. There it
yep.
is.
Ta-da!
Programming.
Woo!
Go us.
Cool. Yes. Well, I appreciate your listenership. If you made it this far, big stuff in the future planned for us and the Relax Reps podcast. So please keep following along and like, follow, share. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe to the show because we appreciate all your listenership. So, all right, 3, 2, 1.
Clean.
All right. See you guys.